hello and welcome to Are You Cirrus? We are on episode 23 right now. I am Jamie Arnold, Chief Meteorologist here at WNBF News.
And I am Andrew Dockery, Morning Meteorologist here at WNBF News. It has been a week.
It has been a week.
a busy week.
Been a fun week,
but
a little bit busy.
I want to remind people before we even dive into, I'm sure why everyone has clicked on this, because Al was in town. You can like, comment, subscribe, share, rate. We have 30 ratings.
30. We shot
all
up.
5-star.
I'm so glad you keep up with all this.
Right?
I don't.
We're the only 5-star weather-rated podcast in South Carolina. I don't know if that's true, but that's what we're going to claim.
How many weather podcasts are there in South Carolina?
Probably one.
Probably one. Well, at least.
And welcome to it.
At least we're at the top of the list for that.
So, Are You Cirrus? We appreciate it. As always, we're going to do Shooting the Breeze later.
Yeah.
We want to encourage you to bring your questions. I forgot this is my camera.
I know. Always forget which camera it is.
So shoot those questions over to us, whether in the comments on the YouTube, Facebook for you or me. We'll get them. Twitter, we'll get them as well. But yeah, really excited. I want to also say August was our most listened to month.
Really?
Of Are You Cirrus? Downloaded and all that. Even with the week off.
Even with the week off.
The
That's
most
pretty impressive.
downloads we've ever had.
The momentum for Are You Cirrus continues to grow, and I love it.
I got a feeling it's really going to take off after this week, so we'll see.
I hope so.
Watch, there's like 5 people actually watching.
That's usually how it goes.
I'm sure many of you people are probably going to click on this because they see a photo of me, you, and Mr. Al Roker.
Al Roker, America's favorite weatherman.
Man.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
A lot of questions about Al, and we'll get to him here in a second. I had a couple of people go through and kind of ask about him when they saw our photo. We'll talk about that here in a second. But you got to sit down with Al, and yes, we would love to bring Al to the podcast.
Not going to happen.
And we'll tell you why after. But man, what a great guy.
Super great guy. Oh. This was my second time meeting him. The first time was at my previous TV station up in North Carolina, and it was very quick handshake. Yeah. Didn't really have time to spend time with him, but this time I did, and it was really pleasurable.
Yeah, we got to sit down, ask him a couple questions that we knew you all would like. So I think we send it there, and then we'll talk more about it right after this.
Yeah. So a lot of people were talking about how what's he like. How is Al? They love Al. And it's kind of what you see is what you get. And these are my favorite kind of interviews. I had a chance to interview him down on the boardwalk. And my favorite interview is where I don't really have to work too hard to pull information out of somebody. Al was definitely that type. You let him go and you see where it goes. So you've probably seen a couple of these snips that we've kind of shown on the air or whatever. So here's kind of the full Al unrated, unedited version, and it kind of gives you an idea of just how all over the place he is. It's about 4 minutes, so check it out and enjoy it. So happy to have Al Roker here in Myrtle Beach. Al, it is an absolute pleasure and an honor, and rumor has it you've been eating good here in Myrtle Beach.
Oh my gosh, I'm coming. I'm going to be leaving 10 pounds heavier.
That's a good thing.
Yes, we have this show, Family Style, with Al Roker on Today All Day, and we go to different cities and check out family-run restaurants. And so we've been to Minna's Kitchen, Winna's Kitchen, I should say, Winna's Kitchen downtown. We've been to Big Mike's Soul Food.
One of my favorites.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
The Hush Puppies. I mean, you come for the fried fish, you stay for the Hush Puppies. And Seven Seas Seafood Market.
Right.
In Little Murrells Inlet.
Yeah, in Murrells Inlet.
Murrells
Fantastic.
Inlet. So we just had the greatest time, and I just love this area because normally when I come, it's because of hurricanes.
It's because of hurricanes.
So this is nice.
Yeah, this is
nice.
good.
This is beautiful. This morning's sunrise was unbelievable.
The best.
And so we're just happy to be here.
And we are happy to have you. I'm not sure if you remember, but 15 years ago, you played a very special role in the history of WNBF News.
What did I do?
You were pitching to the local forecast in your neck of the woods, and you said, but first, let's give a big welcome to our newest affiliate to NBC, WNBF News.
Oh my gosh.
And with that, we flipped the switch and went on air.
And boom, and then it all went downhill.
And it all went downhill.
I was the one who sent the thing right into the mountain.
I became chief, and look at us now.
All right.
Sweating here in Myrtle Beach.
But here's the beauty of it is that you've been here, and your viewers trust you. They know you because you're not some Johnny-come-lately. You know the topography,
Right.
you know the systems, you know how they're going to behave. And as we go into the winter, and look, with climate change, we're seeing things getting crazier
Right.
and crazier.
Yeah.
And so that's why the first alert team is so important.
That means so much coming from you. Let's talk a little bit more about weather. All
Okay.
right, you've been all over the place. You've covered everything. You've been blown down streets and
Yes.
hanging onto signs.
Yeah.
What is your best weather memory out in the field? Or
God.
craziest?
Craziest, I would have to say it was Hurricane Wilma. In Naples, Florida, and I had a crew guy holding on to me.
Yeah.
We had 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts, over 100 miles, and I eventually went down. Live on TV.
It's a famous meme.
It is. It is indeed. But I will tell you that the one thing that I remember most, that I think I said our climate is changing, was Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah.
We tracked that thing from Key West all the way
Right.
to the Northeast, and we watched it literally change the geography of New Jersey and
Yeah.
other places. And that's when I think most people kind of stood up and took notice and said, something's going on.
Something's
here."
going on.
Yeah.
All right, now the second question is, if we had to pick the perfect Al Roker day weather-wise.
Oh, gosh.
Is it outside of Myrtle Beach in September?
Yes.
What is the perfect Al
I
Roker
would say
Myrtle Beach forecast?
perfect day. Actually, the perfect day was this morning. Myrtle Beach, sunny. The sun was coming up. There was a light breeze. It was 70 degrees. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better than that.
That sounds perfect.
Unlike
And
right now, where we're literally about to self-combust. Right now.
I'm fangirling a little bit because I'm actually sweating on you right now.
I just want you to fan me. Don't fangirl me.
My sweat is dripping
fan
on
me.
Al
Hold
Roker
on,
right
wait a
now.
second. Hold on.
All
Hold
right,
on.
get it over here. There we go.
Hold on.
There we go.
hold
Let's
on.
do this.
There you go.
I mean, is this a moment
There
for
you go.
television or what? All right,
If
hold
I had
on.
some grapes,
Hold on.
I'd feed you.
With us weather folks, we got to stick together
Oh, that
here.
feels good.
So,
That's good.
Al, we can't thank you enough
That's
for coming to Myrtle Beach. It absolutely means the world
You
to
know
us.
what the best part of this is?
What is that?
This young lady holding this reflector, bringing even more sunshine.
Yeah, to blind us a little more. Yes. Ah, burning.
Lobster! He's a lobster!
Absolutely burning. Yes. It has been such a pleasure to have you here. We hope to have you back again.
Thank you.
Under blue skies,
In blue
and
skies.
not under a hurricane. But Myrtle Beach would love to have you back anytime. you
Can't
would like.
wait.
We
Can't
would love
wait.
to have you.
Thank
Al,
you,
it's been
Jamie.
an absolute pleasure.
Good
Thank
to
you
see
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
So you see, all over the place, absolutely all, and that didn't include all of the other sort of off-camera moments that he had that were just fantastic.
Yeah, I always tell people too, and you get this, and I know people at home are going to be like, what is he talking about? I'm always very cautious or skeptical when you get to meet some of these people that you look up to or watch, or just because, fair warning for Are You Serious listeners, not everyone is always as they seem on TV.
No, they're not.
I would say a good majority of them were.
Yeah.
Are You Serious After Dark? But what a true gem.
A true gem and an absolute professional.
Yeah.
An absolute professional. He knew what he was here to do. He knew what to say and say it in the right way. And it was like you. I was a little nervous going into it. I was a little nervous.
I didn't get my hopes up because of it.
Yeah. But I walked away from it with a big smile. Like that was really fun, and it was good. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, one of the questions that people have asked on our photos is, how come y'all didn't say anything? Well, NBC is very hush-hush about.
Very hush-hush.
And I will tell you, I understand why now. So in the morning, it was very quiet on the disclosed location. We weren't allowed to share anything.
Yep.
We were told to keep it quiet. Al's in town recording. He'd love to meet up with us, which was awesome. He came in for the morning show, and he didn't have anyone like he did for the afternoon.
Yeah.
So in the morning, it was like me, our crew, Al. CNC with Larry Sprinkle, which that's a whole nother conversation. And I just got to sit there and talk to him for 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the same dude when the camera's rolling and the camera's not. So I thoroughly enjoy that. Now, let me tell you, there was a couple of times that we were texting for the afternoons where NBC and everyone involved was maybe wanting to switch the location. Because in the morning we had a couple people stop by and Al started to get a little busy. after that interview, the 4-minute, there were people everywhere.
Everywhere. They were hanging out over the balconies.
They
They
were all
were
taking photos.
all taking photos. It was. I enjoyed watching the people watch Al.
Right.
That was kind of one of my favorite things. One of my favorite was when he pulled up right there on Ocean Boulevard. With his driver and his black Suburban, of course, which I tried to ask for me. I think I need a driver.
Still waiting.
To up my status. Yeah, I'll be waiting on that for a long time. But Al Roker kind of steps out of his car, and people are walking down the street, and they'll kind of look, and then they would do a double take.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, it's Al Roker. So that was fun to watch.
The one lady that when he got out of the car, honey, I think that's Al.
I think that's Al.
And she like walked after him.
Yeah, basically followed him down the sidewalk, like right behind him. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a blast. It was cool to see in there. For someone that maybe hasn't listened to the podcast, I wanted to bring back in Larry Sprinkle because he came in for CNC, our sister station, our NBC station there in Charlotte, and he was doing some behind the scenes stuff as well with Al. You and Larry got to catch up.
We did. I got to see Larry Sprinkle.
Just an icon.
An absolute icon in the Charlotte TV market and even in the sort of media, television, movie, radio industry in general. He does the morning show for the NBC affiliate in Charlotte, which is where I started my television career behind the scenes as a weather producer. And I worked a lot of morning shifts. So Larry Sprinkle and I got to spend a lot of great time together, and everybody always asks me when they know that I know Larry Sprinkle, is that his last name? And I will tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
There we go.
Yeah, Larry Sprinkle, the original Tidy Bowl man. Did you know that?
Well, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
I didn't know when you told me that, and I was like, say what?
Yeah, the little Tidy Bowl man toilet cleaner commercial sitting on the rim of your toilet. That is Larry Sprinkle. Yeah.
It was great because when he rolled up before Al, he rolled up at like 6 a.m. that morning. Knew me by name already.
Yeah.
And I was like fangirling
Yeah.
at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, Larry Sprinkle knows who I am.
Yeah.
Says he keeps up with us down here, and it was really cool to talk to him. Just two great down to earth people. I do want to bring up where Al mentioned some of those questions that we asked him.
Yeah.
Because I was very intrigued because we wanted to know, and we've asked everyone on our podcast, what's your most memorable event? Mm-hmm. I didn't expect Wilma, but then I remembered the clip as he was talking about it.
As he was talking about it, and I even mentioned it in there, I was like, it's a meme. Like, if you do, like, if you search, like, if you're texting somebody a hurricane meme, you type in hurricane, 2005, and it is Al Roker being held down. I think it was probably one of his producers trying to, like, hold him in place, and then he goes.
Yeah.
He goes in that wind, and that's the clip he was talking about.
Yeah, Naples, he was in the eye wall there.
Yeah.
That came in and went, right over the southern tip of Florida?
Yeah, southern tip of Florida, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That 2005
Yeah.
was crazy. Not to mention then also, too, he talked about his perfect forecast, 70 degrees.
70 degrees, yeah.
In Myrtle Beach.
Which it wasn't when we were out there yesterday. When we were out there on Tuesday.
It was awful.
It wasn't like a sweltering
It
July
felt like
day,
it.
but just when you're sitting there, right there, and there was no breeze.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of baking in the sun, and I mentioned it in that interview. I had drips of sweat actually like dropping on Al.
One of the reasons we were talking too about the podcast, like we couldn't get Al here because he was so like.
Yeah.
We were on Al time.
Yeah, Al time.
So
Absolutely.
we sat there and we waited.
We waited
and
for
we
Al. Yeah.
baked
Yeah.
in the sun.
Yeah, a good hour.
Just dripping.
A good hour we sat
waiting
there.
for him.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe he's
Yeah.
coming. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to have that, and it was always fun to bring you all a little bit something different for Are You Serious? I do have to ask, busy week. Al's been here. You've had some talks.
Yeah.
We got festivals back this weekend.
Festival season's back.
Shout out Aner.
Aner Hoedown, one of my favorites.
43rd annual.
Yeah,
Aner
one of my
Hoedown.
favorites.
Friday night football, Coastal's in town, the fall home show.
Yep, which
We're going to be out there.
Yeah.
If you want to come meet the Are You Serious crew, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I think.
Ish.
10 a.m.-ish.
Yeah.
Show up at 10:30 and we
Yeah.
should be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, come say hello to us. So how's Jamie? This is usually the time where we're swarmed.
Yeah. Good. It is busy.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of, I think I talked about this a couple of podcasts back. September is usually one of those months where it's either really quiet weather-wise, or there's a hurricane.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we're in that really quiet. There's not a lot going on. It's going to get nice and comfortable and pleasant and good. And day 416 of tracking Lee is what it feels like. It's made its turn.
6 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Was as slow as it got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I wish there's a part of me that wishes I was on my way to Cape Cod to get there. They're going to get a nice little side swipe from Lee.
Yeah.
Up there at the Cape.
Yeah, which is
wish
pretty
I was
unique.
there. Yeah. So
For that.
yeah.
When we were talking about Lee, I was looking back at some of the hurricane season just for so far up to today, and we've had 13 named storms, 1 unnamed, so technically I think Colorado State would call that 14.
Yeah.
5 hurricanes already,
Yep.
3 major hurricanes. All of that is above average.
Above average, and it was the whole talk all before the season was: is it going to be El Nino? Is it going to be the record warm temperatures? And Dr. Phil tweeted, I think last week when Lee reached Category 5 intensity, was like I thought it was kind of a humble tweet. He said,
Yeah.
I think the water temperature's won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen some tweets that have really irked me a little bit too on hurricane season. I'm not going to get canceled here, but I will say, and this is the whole thing that we preach, it only takes one.
Yep.
But then also you have people that will tweet out, well, it's above average, but nothing's really happened here.
Yeah. Well,
That's hurricane
Good.
season for you.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
like
not
I know
gonna
some
get it.
people have been talking about, oh, it's been quiet in the Gulf. Well, good.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the
except
day.
for that Category 3 Adalia that went
Yeah.
through the Gulf. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they yeah, take that, Twitter.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it baffles me that people still have the courage to say something like that. So it's been busy for us. We're not done yet just because the peak is past. We still have some time to go. But it does bring in a question that I got, and I didn't get to put it in the Shooting the Breeze, but Judy wrote on YouTube. I was looking at it this morning, and it's a really good question. She said, in previous storms with Ian and even Adalia, we've had storm tracks that maybe show that, the center of the storm is going to move closer to one region or the other. In retrospect, though, we've had damage further away from the center. So she brought up, Ian, landfall was in Georgetown County. Some of the worst damage was in Garden City, Cherry Grove. Same thing with Adalia. She brought it up and she said, we had the center of circulation probably closer to the South Strand, but yet we had more damage in Cherry Grove with tornado warnings and stuff like that. And she just wanted to ask, why? Why does that happen?
Well,
and I thought it was a great question.
It is a great question, and it's something I think we should preach more, and I think it's something that we are trying to preach more, is that a hurricane is more than the center. It's more than the dot on the map. It's more than that little spinning icon that we show on our weather maps. That's just the center. Hurricanes are big systems, and impacts spread very far away from the center. As far as kind of Adalia goes, and we had that, that strip of flooding rainfall, that was, the storm is kind of starting to transition out of a pure hurricane status. And usually when that happens, it sort of tends to expand a little bit and focus the rainfall in different spots, focus the wind in different spots. But, they're more than a point on a map. And case in point, Lee, turning into a massive hurricane.
Big.
Hurricane force winds extending out 150 miles from the center.
150.
Think about that. You could have Hurricane Lee. Thankfully, we're not, but it could pass 100 miles offshore of Myrtle Beach, and we'd still be getting hurricane force winds.
Yeah,
tropical storm force winds. By the time we get into late this week, maybe up to 400 miles from the center. So. Yeah, they're more than a plot on a map.
And if I had a couple people ask us, Lee seems so far east, we typically wouldn't see as high rip currents or swells. And it's because of that wind field.
That big wind field.
Being so large, which is just rather impressive. And it goes without saying just how rare I feel like Lee has been. A massive storm, and that storm continues to grow, at least in its wind field, moving to the north. So rip current's a big thing for us this week.
I have one as well.
Oh,
before we get into the box, this is from our buddy Mark.
Oh,
got to say, number one, happy anniversary to Mark and his wife.
How many years did he say? If not, happy anniversary, anyways.
No, didn't say.
Many lifelong years.
Let's see. But they took our advice and went to Lombardo's for their anniversary dinner. So that made me nice and happy.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if Mark had a Cosmo, but they got the creme brulee for dessert. So yes.
Bon appetit.
Lombardo's, y'all know it's one of my favorite. So Mark had a question. He said, explain why spaghetti tracks are shown when it appears that the cone is based on the spaghetti tracks, and why are there so many separate tracks as far as the spaghetti plots go? Then he said, finally, it always amuses me when there was always one or two of those spaghetti plots that don't conform to the vast majority and are just kind of breaking the mold and all over the place.
Spaghetti is a great model output. So basically, think of where our cone comes from. It comes from the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. They use all the model data that we do, and those spaghetti plots are individual model runs of each individual model output, even time. I mean, this comes down to where it could be the same model, but 4 different times, and you see those on the spaghetti plot.
Yep.
There's like 144 spaghetti noodles out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's a whole serving of spaghetti.
And I'll say I think we've done a good job. I trim it back now because I think if we were to continue to show you past the cone per se, you would look long term and see just the spread of that spaghetti go even further. But ever since our Trusting the Cone episode, I said, okay, I'm going to keep my spaghetti plots matched up for the same time as the cone. I'm not going to go any further because that does nothing but cause panic. But let's just say that cone comes from the spaghetti models themselves. National Hurricane Center ingests that stuff.
Yeah, it's called consensus forecasting.
Yes.
So obviously the closer you are to time zero, so let's say we're tracking Lee or any hurricane right now, obviously the next 12 hours, your models are going to have generally a pretty good handle. So all of those individual spaghetti tracks are going to be close together. As you go out 24 hours, you start to get different ideas, 48, 96, 120. You start to get that spread, which is why sort of the cone sort of mimics that spread because of the uncertainty the further out in time that you get.
And what you'll see, too, is generally it will follow the general consensus of the spaghetti models.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean at the end of the cone that they're all going to be within the cone.
Right.
But the bulk of those models should be.
Yeah.
Based off how that works. It's also like an exponential graph. Algebra nerd here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Your error percentage at hour zero.
It's very low.
Very low.
Yeah.
But as you go, you'll start to grow that error up. And that's where you start to see the dispersion. My favorite thing to do, especially if you have time, is to draw out the mileage between the outputs. If I were to draw the mileage from the furthest away and the furthest away at 12 hours, it may only be 50 miles, which is still a big change compared to 2,000 by day 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So that always baffles me, but I love it.
And another thing with the spaghetti models is a lot of times what you're seeing are, and we've talked a little bit about ensembles before, are the ensemble tracks.
Yeah.
So take, for example, the GFS. It's the GFS that, you know, if you're kind of a weather geek, or even that we will oftentimes show on the air, or the European, whatever, it's called the operational run. It's kind of the main model that's sort of put forth into the public. But you take that operational model, and then you start tweaking things. You tweak a couple of different little things, and you run it again, tweak, run it again, tweak, run it again, and it gives you a variety of outputs. And when forecasting, it's actually better to look at the ensembles to see sort of what the general idea is. So a lot of those lines you see on those spaghetti plots are actually just different runs of the same model, but with slightly different outputs. And then, as he was mentioning, sometimes you get one that's, you know, all your tracks are over here, and you have one over here. Sometimes models just go haywire.
They do.
Or it's
have
just
too
a
much
crappy
to drink.
model.
And
I usually tend to, I will try, it can be a little time consuming, but I will sometimes try to go in and
find it and take it out.
Those ones that, but when you're
on a 5 o'clock update,
5
during
o'clock
the show,
update, or, you know, getting a busy afternoon, you may not, because it's kind of difficult to go in there and find, okay, which model is this one that's just gone haywire. But
ever since our Trusting the Cone episode and the forecasting and what we talked about, and I was going back and listening to some of it probably 2 weeks ago, how do you feel that you've adjusted?
Really well.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do too.
I like it.
And I think there's even more that we could do. It's just we haven't really had to do it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that Idalia didn't, cause impacts
Yeah.
or anything like that, but I just imagine, if we have like a Category 2 or 3 hurricane, how much more
Yeah.
we could do. And hopefully you all saw that at home, some things that were different. I haven't shown much model data
I've shown a little bit with Lee, and the only reason I did
for the wind.
was one for the wind, and two, I have shown a couple of spaghetti plots for Lee, because there was that point last week where it was like, maybe it's not going to turn,
Yeah.
maybe it's going to turn too late, but to kind of show once beyond that 5-day cone, I did kind of run
Yeah.
the models through
Yeah,
day
I think we all
7
did.
and 8. And it did show kind of to drive home that point, that turn to the north, because there was a couple days last week where, basically that cone was pointed right at South Carolina.
Yeah.
And somebody just glancing at that thinks, all right, man, it's
Here we
coming.
go.
It's coming. But
Yeah.
like, no, we got to take the story out a couple more days. And then you see that turn to the north. But overall, I'm really happy with kind of how we're handling the
Yeah.
cone. And again, like you said, if you're curious about what we're talking about, go watch that episode, because
So it might be one of my favorite episodes
it's
that we've
definitely
done.
mine. Yeah.
Just it was so
Yeah.
nerdy, and I'd love to go back and just talk about it after the season and just say, hey, like,
Yeah.
what could we do better next time?
Yeah.
I don't know. Our Idalia graphics I loved. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
All right, shooting the breeze.
Let's do it.
Remember, you could send your questions to us. We will more than likely throw them in here unless we forget. It's been one of those weeks.
Yeah. All right, I'll go in here for the first one. Oh gosh. Our box overfloweth. Is there such a thing as lightning with no clouds? This is Asa Whitley via YouTube.
Asa Whitley, lightning with no clouds. You have to have a storm in a general direction.
Yeah.
To have
you can't have
lightning.
lightning without a storm.
Now, if you're referring to the good old heat lightning. Let me get me on this soapbox.
Heat lightning, yeah.
So growing up, and I'm sure many of you all have heard the term, oh, that's just some good old heat lightning.
Yep.
That's how my family would say
Yeah.
it. Not offending anyone. That's just how we would
Yeah.
say it. Especially at night. Because that's
night.
when you
Oh, yeah.
always, it's so hot
Yeah.
out there, there's
Yeah.
heat lightning.
Heat lightning, yep.
What you're seeing, because typically when you see that, the clouds could be off in the distance, it could be clear, the sky gets illuminated. You are still looking at lightning or reflection from a distant thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Asa,
Asa.
Asa, you are looking at still lightning from any storm. You can't have it without it.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon around here, especially on a nice kind of clear night. You can see distant flashes on the horizon from storms that may be 80 or 90 miles away.
Yeah.
Especially if they're offshore where it's super flat and there's nothing, terrain's not blocking your view.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can easily see 80 or 90 miles away.
Wednesday morning coming in, if you were driving to work, we had some distant thunderstorms 35 miles off of the Atlantic. And it was clear skies here in Myrtle Beach, but out over the Atlantic, there was these massive storms, and you could see some light over top
Yeah.
from those towering
we
storms.
had it Tuesday night here in Myrtle Beach. Looking west, there was just a
Yeah.
kind of distant flashing, and the thunderstorms were back over Sumter and Columbia. So if it's that, you can definitely
It's
definitely
just
see
so
heat
cool,
lightning
too,
from a
when
long
you
way.
can
Yeah.
see where that is. If
Yeah.
you don't have, like, maybe the Radar Scope app or our First Alert Weather app, I encourage it because you can
Yes.
look, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, where's that storm?
Yep.
And then you look and it's 60 miles away. It's
Yeah.
really fun. What are some facts the average viewer, parentheses, the non-weather geek, would be interested in knowing about meteorologists? Oh,
About meteorologists.
yeah. Yeah, I can open up a can of worms. Some facts that we're all obsessed.
Yeah.
It's not it's not like a front by any means.
No. It's almost like weather's genetic.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like it's genetic. It's in our DNA.
Yeah. And we talk weather
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
but we look forward to talking weather with other weather people.
Yeah, or even non-weather people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Some people, I will say, I feel like some meteorologists do get annoyed when you come up and you ask them, what's the weather going to be? I don't. I'll give you the full synopsis.
Yeah, people will come up to me and say, "Oh, I hate to bother you. I'm sorry. I don't really want to
please
talk
do.
about weather." I'm like, "No, that number one, that means you're watching. That means I'm getting paid. And number two,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll talk about it all day long. All you want."
I'm trying to think what else about weather people.
I think a lot of us are a little eccentric.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I like that. Witsy.
Yeah. I don't know if witsy's a word. Maybe witty.
Witty, maybe. It's been a long day.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. A little out there. I don't
Well,
think,
out there.
I don't know.
You could say our heads are in the clouds.
I was gonna say I don't know if our elevator goes all the way up. but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we're smart, but we're also not.
Yeah, especially on the TV side of things.
Yeah, there we go. Now, if we were talking National Weather Service or Storm Prediction Center or National Hurricane Center, love those people to death.
Yeah.
But less conversational.
Yeah.
And more just.
Yep. You got to be, and I've said this since my beginning in television weather, you got to be a little crazy to be in the television business.
Oh, I think
All
we
of
all
us
are.
are. Not just weather. Everybody. There's a little something off with you.
Yeah. No,
to
that's
work.
what I was trying
Seriously,
to get to.
Yeah. There's something a little wrong.
Like between the hours
Yeah.
and the weather and the workload and the nonstop. Yeah, there's something.
There's something just not quite right, which makes for a really fun work environment.
Yeah, I think so. And that's why
Yeah.
this podcast has hopefully had some
Yeah.
success because
You
we're
never-
all not here.
You never know what you're going to run across in a TV studio. That's for sure. Oh, let's go back in here to the bottom.
That was an interesting question. I'm still going to think
It
on that one.
was. It was. Oh, let's see. Is there anything that people often misunderstand about meteorologists and or weather forecasting? A lot. I tell you what they often misunderstand. We're just out here for the clicks and the ratings, and we're fear mongering.
I thought about that.
And we've got stock in Food Lion for when
here
it
goes
snows,
the rest of the
and
podcast.
stock in plywood at Lowe's, and that's why we say there's a hurricane. We hype everything up for the clicks and that one. I'm done.
Yeah, that.
Let me tell you something.
I have been extremely PO'd lately.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up on Friday and saw that viral TikTok that went about the Lee Margot and the chance of development forming into this mega storm. And here's what made me so irritated about it is it was so viral that it started to reach into our viewers. Who then started asking and sending me the freaking video.
Or the Category 6 that was going to hit Florida.
Yeah, that one too. That one was bad because we got a couple questions about that. To the point where I took to Twitter and I woke up and got dismantled by some people. Like people that just thought I was fake news and rough. But here's what I'll tell you. what it is about our systems here. They always end at 11 p.m.
Right.
or midnight, and the morning show is 5 hours later. So
Yep,
what's the
and
point
you
of going home?
Yep.
So then that's when the coffee and the Red Bull come in for
Yeah.
me, just to power me through to the morning to get out of here and go get some sleep.
The Matthew example where I did do 24 hours, and again, we were short-staffed for that. For that hurricane, there were only 3 of us here at the time, and so basically all 3 of us did, 21 hours. That was through the day on a Saturday, and Matthew ended Saturday night, and I had to come back in for the Sunday morning show.
That's
Got a couple of hours of sleep, but talk about when your adrenaline crashes. We were doing the morning show, kind of focusing on the aftermath, and by that point we'd had the big fire in Cherry Grove, and we were in a commercial break, and I kind of stood up to get into my spot, getting ready for the show to restart, and suddenly started to get tunnel vision, and I was going down. I was going down. I think just from pure exhaustion, just felt like I was going to pass out. Thankfully, Wave, our station in Louisville, Kentucky, had sent a meteorologist in. He was kind of doing some background stuff, and I just looked at him and I said, "You gotta take over." And I sat down for a few minutes and finally went home, and that's when I think I went into a coma for about 12 hours. But yeah, when that adrenaline crashes after a storm, it crashes hard.
That's the thing too, is you could be just so hydrated, you could be nourished and everything and ready to go, but when it hits the wall, powering through that wall is nearly impossible. Same thing happened with Ian with me. That 8 a.m. show ended 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I remember just falling asleep at breakfast over here with Emily at the Earth Cafe. And then you call me like, "Hey, we need to go out and look at it." I'm like, "All right, let me chug some coffee, and then we'll be good to go." And I was wired after that. But there's always a wall that hits. Sometimes, have you ever had a wall hit you during coverage, and then how did you get through it?
Thankfully, I haven't. I think we got close with
I've had
Florence, which we're kind of in the 5-year anniversary time frame of Florence. Florence was weird because it was
Just a slow storm.
it was so painfully slow. And my adrenaline was so high because it was slow. In the original forecast, we're coming in as a Category 4. That slowly transitioned into, no, it's not going to be that, but it's going to be this slow moving. And then we started to focus on historic flooding. So the storm itself, the actual process of Florence moving through the area started Friday morning. It went through the day Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and finally tapered off around sunrise Monday morning. I was here the whole time and took breaks and took naps here and there. But by the time we got into Sunday, there were a couple of times where I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through the rest of this storm. And then we had to throw on 4 weeks after that of historic flooding.
And the covering, come on.
I feel like it took me about 6 months to recover from Florence.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just to feel like I was myself again.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
These things can take it out of
They
me.
do.
I couldn't imagine Florence by any means.
Yeah.
I still feel like I still have like a diet lag, and it wasn't
A
even
little bit, yeah.
Like I just found myself this week, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, was that a dahlia? What?
Yeah.
What am I?
Yeah. No, I call it the tropical depression. It sets in after a hurricane, and you're just
And it takes a couple of weeks of
Just
quiet
kinda,
weather to get back into the swing of things.
yeah.
So, I don't know, but anyways, we've hit our mark for the time.
This was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun to kind of get back to basics.
Get back to basics. I'll be honest with you all. We have no idea what we're doing next.
Nah.
We have ideas in the future.
Yeah.
But like next week, I
We
have
don't
no
know.
clue.
We'll see.
So
We'll find
you'll
something
be
to talk about.
surprised.
Yeah, so
We'll
send
figure
in those
something out.
questions and keep them coming. We'll figure out something to talk about.
23 Al Roker, Larry Sprinkle, tropical weather. Who knows what next week will be?
Yeah.
Home show.
Home
Saturday
show. Come out
morning.
and see us at the home show.
See
The
ya.
rest of the crew's going to be there as well.
Yeah. Somewhere, sometime. I
yeah.
don't know. Everybody's
I mean,
schedule.
we're here promoting RU Cirrus going to be there, but WBF News will be there too.
They will be there.
The rest of
So-
the folks, yeah.
Come say hello to us. I don't even know. I think it costs like $5 to get in. Maybe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun event.
It's also too to like just see what everybody else is up to.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy the fall home show better than the spring.
I do too.
It's a little less chaotic,
A little less chaotic, and
and there's still some cool stuff. And then also you can get all the fall
get
decorations
the
at this
fall
one.
decors popping out, and there's usually some decent little snacks kind of hidden around. So,
Yeah.
so that's
If you have any
if
snacks,
there's
let us know.
if there's food out there.
But that does it for us. Episode 23. 23 episodes.
23 episodes. We do appreciate it. We'll see you back here for episode 24 and whatever we decide to talk about.
Yeah. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.